I'm joined now by retired Major General Paul Eaton. He served more than 30 years in the U.S. Army, including as the commanding general of operations to train Iraqi troops during Operation Iraqi Freedom. He is now senior advisor to the progressive group VoteVets. Sir, thank you so much for being with us.
Brianna, thank you very much for having me.
Help us sort this out, because you have Mark Meadows saying this was about the military-industrial complex, which, I mean, the military is part of that, but he's saying it's not about the military. So what's your reaction to the president attacking Pentagon officials?
Well, we've all heard the attack that President Trump levied against our general officers. Four-star generals and admirals are the interface between the developers of policy and those who will execute that policy. It is simply absurd to imply that our general officers and admirals are involved in creating warfare or delaying peace, that they are absolutely focused on more materiel and to support the military-industrial complex, the industrial component of it. President Eisenhower's farewell speech, unfortunately, was overshadowed by President Kennedy's incoming speech, where President Eisenhower warned us of the military-industrial complex. There is no greater supporter of that evil notion that we are trying to create profits for the military-industrial, the industrial component, than President Trump. It is absurd that he tries to do to the most respected institution in the United States, the U.S. military, what he is actively doing with the FBI, separating the leaders from the troops. This is just, this is a terrible thing that he's doing right now.
So, yeah, let me ask you about that. I mean, first, we know sometimes there are tensions between politicians and between those in the military, right? The politicians, civilians, determine if the country is going to war. And a lot of times there is, I think, a tension as Americans grow wary of something and the military is in the middle of waging it. We see that, right? I think we certainly see that tension play out. But this idea of the brass, which is in charge of executing and having the strategy for carrying out those plans, and the rank and file, what do you make of that, especially as the president seemed especially visibly concerned by that report disparaging rank and file military members, calling war dead and injured suckers and losers?
We've seen a pattern of this president shirking his duties as the commander-in-chief. Let me use a historical example that clearly defines and shows civilian leadership, that the civilians are in charge of the prosecution of warfare. In the early days of World War II, the senior leadership, military leadership of Great Britain and the United States wanted desperately to attack continental Europe. And we have President Roosevelt and Prime Minister Winston Churchill basically say, no, we're going to North Africa. You are not prepared for warfare with the Wehrmacht. And by doing so, our president and the Prime Minister of Great Britain saved countless allies' lives by taking charge and expressing and demonstrating the wisdom to lead in warfare.
General Eaton, I want to play something that you put on social media after we heard that Atlantic report about the president calling war dead and wounded suckers and losers. This was something that was widely shared, and I want to share it with our viewers.
You're no patriot. Let me tell you about a patriot. My father was killed in Vietnam. He was shot down over a Ho Chi Minh Trail section just outside of Vietnam and Laos. He delivered ordnance to cut the trail and cut supplies. And then he delivered close air support to Special Forces troops on the ground. And his airplane blew up. He went down in 1969, 13 January 1969. This dog tag was recovered at the crash site. My father was a patriot. well educated. He was a wise man.
You're not a fan of the president's, but I think these comments in particular spurred you in a way that even other things haven't. Why is that?
Well, it was a very personal comment to me and to my entire family. My entire family, my wife, my sons, my daughter, have served in the United States Army. 2 are still active duty. My father-in-law, career Air Force and career Marine. His comments are provocative. And VoteVets just put out another ad where we have a World War II veteran, man who was captured, a POW, captured in the Philippines when we lost that fight. He is very articulate in demonstrating that this president is unfit to serve as the commander-in-chief for our armed forces.
General Eaton, thank you so much for your service, and thank you for coming on to talk to us.
Brianna, my pleasure. Thank you very much.